Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Safe Pest Sol, your go-to resource for pest control tips and tricks. I'm your host, Rachel, and today we've got an exciting topic that many of you may be curious about. Black widow spiders, where they live, what attracts them, and how to stay safe around them. Joining me today are two of our resident pest control experts, Chris and Natasha. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Hey, Rachel, always a pleasure to be here.
Hi, Rachel. I'm excited to dive into this topic. Black widows are fascinating, but definitely not something you want to run into unexpectedly. Absolutely. So, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about black widows, especially focusing on where they live. Chris, Natasha, let's start with the basics. What exactly makes a black widow, and why are they so notorious?
Great question, Rachel. The black widow spider is infamous for its potent venom and distinctive appearance, shiny black body with a red hourglass shape on its abdomen. While these spiders are non-aggressive, they will bite if threatened, and their venom can be extremely painful.
That's right. But here's the thing. Black widows aren't out to get you. They're recluses, typically keeping to dark, undisturbed places. It's only when they feel threatened that they'll defend themselves, and that's when the bite happens. So, are they always dangerous? What exactly should people be concerned about if they do get bitten?
Yes, the bite itself can cause extreme pain, cramping, and even muscle spasms in some cases. But here's the thing. The fatalities from a black widow bite are incredibly rare. Most people recover with medical treatment, but the bite still requires attention.
Now let's talk about where black widows like to set up their homes. Chris, Natasha, where exactly do these spiders live?
Black widows are cryptic creatures. They're shy and prefer dark, undisturbed places. You'll find them in places like garages, basements, attics, and woodpiles. They're also known to hide under rocks or in sheds.
Absolutely. One of their favorite spots is in cluttered areas. They like hiding in corners, especially in spaces where there's a lot of debris. They tend to web themselves into corners, and the webbing is a bit of a messy structure. They don't make the perfect geometric webs you might expect from other spiders. So if you've got a lot of unused items around your yard or garage, black widows might find it comfortable to set up shop in those spaces. Got it. So why do black widows choose these places, especially around homes? Natasha, what's the appeal? Great question, Rachel. It's really about safety and food sources. Black widows tend to live in places where they won't be disturbed, like dark, quiet corners. And food? These spiders are carnivorous and they love to feast on insects, especially cockroaches, flies, and other small pests that venture into their webs.
And don't forget about protection. By setting up their webs in places like basements, attics, and sheds, they can escape the elements and hide from potential predators. Humidity is another factor. They prefer areas with moderate moisture levels.
So it's a mix of protection, food, and humidity that makes these spots so appealing for black widows?
Exactly, it's the perfect storm for them. The more cluttered and neglected an area is, the more likely it is to become a home for them.
All right, so now that we know where they like to hang out, how can homeowners spot black widow infestations? Natasha, any tips for identifying when you might have one? Definitely. The first step is to look for their webs. Black widow webs are irregular, unlike those of orb-weaving spiders. They're not neat and tidy. They look more like a messy cobweb. So, if you find a web that's not properly organized, there's a chance it could be a black widow's home.
Another sign is spotting the spider itself. If you see a shiny black spider with a red hourglass shape on its abdomen, that's a clear indication of a black widow. They're not very big, typically about 1.5 inches when including the legs.
So webs that look messy and a shiny black spider with that red hourglass pattern, that's your sign to be careful. Okay, so let's say you've identified a black widow infestation in your home or yard. What should you do next, Chris? How do we safely deal with them?
First and foremost, safety is key. If you suspect you have a black widow infestation, avoid disturbing the spider. They're not aggressive, but they will bite if threatened. It's best to call a professional pest control service if the infestation is large or hard to access.
However, if the nest is small and in a manageable area, you can carefully remove it using a vacuum cleaner with a hose attachment. Just make sure you dispose of the vacuum bag or canister right after. You can also use a pesticide spray specifically designed for spiders. So, how about natural solutions? Are there any non toxic ways to deal with these spiders?
Yes, some natural repellents, like essential oils, especially peppermint and eucalyptus oils, can help deter black widows. Mix a few drops with water in a spray bottle and spray areas where you've seen them. But remember, this is more of a preventative measure than a direct solution.
Also, keep your home clean. Black widows are more likely to settle in dark, cluttered places. If you clean and declutter your basement, attic, or storage areas, you're less likely to attract them. All right, we've learned a lot today about where black widows live, how to spot them, and how to deal with them. Chris, Natasha, any final thoughts for our viewers?
Just stay safe. And remember, if you see a black widow, don't panic. If you're ever unsure about handling it, it's always best to call in a professional.
Exactly, and the key to prevention is sealing entry points around your home, keeping things clean and clutter-free, and using natural repellents to deter them from settling in. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more pest control tips. And thanks again to Chris and Natasha for joining me today. And don't forget to visit our site, safepestsol.com.